As best we can tell, the pub is shut. That's not appropriate. I can't be any clearer than that. That's what's most important. The pub, that's what's most important. Beers. We had a case last week. As best we can tell, the dinner party started with one case. By the end of the dinner party, almost everybody at the dinner party had a case of beers. People simply take this seriously, rapidly. Get on the beers. That's your civic duty. That's what's most important, and that's what must be done. Beers. Get on the beers. Beers. Get on the beers.
Before I get into this, I think I'm gonna need a cup of tea. Oh, this is so much better. There's something so soothing about having a hot drink in your hands when you're talking about lockdowns. Behold, the city of doom. Nah, I'm just kidding. Welcome to the most locked down city in the world, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. So it has been nearly 267 days. I think that was about the number of days we were supposedly going to be totally locked down for by the time we open up. That is nearly 9 months of harsh lockdown. Oy, man. So we found out, I think yesterday or the day before, that our lockdown's going to be lifting, which is really exciting. It's going to be lifting at the end of this week. So everyone in Melbourne is very excited about it. And I thought the rest of the world, to everyone not living in Melbourne, be that interstate, in other parts of Australia or internationally, I thought, hey, maybe I'd shed some light on what life has been like in the most locked down city in the world and how all the Melbournians are faring and how we're all feeling about it. So a little disclaimer here, I'm not talking about opinions as to whether or not I think the lockdown's right or wrong. That's not the point of this video. It's just stating what things have been like and sharing with everyone who may be curious, being like, what is that tiny little bubble of a city doing at the moment? Well, voila, let me share it with you. The focus of this camera is a little weird, so I'm just gonna inch you guys closer and closer. And now my hair's broken. Now, to keep this video authentic, I'm sure you've noticed I am wearing my dressing gown. I thought it would be appropriate for a video where I'm talking about Melbourne, the most locked down city in the world, and what life is like for us. I thought it would be appropriate to wear the appropriate attire. This is the Melbourne attire. Dressing gown and warm socks. I mean, if you're sitting at home all day, why wouldn't you just wear your dressing gown and fluffy socks? And I get very cold feet, so meh. Plus, Melbourne's freezing, which is... I wish it was warmer. Alright, so let's get straight to it. What has life been like in the most locked down city in the world? And what is life like currently? Where is my phone? I have the notes. Oh, hello plant. Putting a leaf on my shoulder. Brrr, thank you. The hand of Mother Nature is resting upon my shoulders. Living in Melbourne. There are a few different things that I can go over here. So it's been a bit different depending if you're working, if you're going to school, or you're at uni, or you're not employed, and in terms of social lives, what it's been like. So let's just kind of give a little bit of insight into all those things. Let's look at people who are working. So for a lot of people who are working and can work from home, honestly, things have been pretty okay. It has been a very, very long time of working at home though, which has its own array of problems. People are getting really... Parents love their children. However, when their children are also at home with them, needing homeschooling while the parents are trying to work, I feel really sorry for those parents in those situations. It's been tough. It's a lot of staring at a screen all day, every day, and then once you're finished with work, of course, you can only go outside for an hour or two. I think we're up to 2 or 4 hours now. I'm not sure, but the point is that you can't even go anywhere. So it's just sitting at home and then watching TV or something. So there's very little non-screen time and green time, we're going to call it, where you're actually outside walking around. So screens are just Oh my gosh, I'm so sick of them. For students at school and at uni as well, again, there's been that whole, they're so sick of screens, you're sitting down, because imagine going to school, right? But spending all of your final 2 years of school, that's what the year 11s and the year 12s, well, the year 12s this year have essentially gone through. They've spent the last 2 years of school, their final 2 years of school, the final 2 years that, you know, are going to get them into uni, working at home in front of a screen all day, and they've hardly seen their friends, which is, oh, that is, I can only imagine how hard that would be. I'm not in that situation, but I can see how it is affecting some students, so yeah, it's very hard. For the people at uni is the time to socialise and to go and meet people, but again, people at uni haven't been able to do that. It's just been like attending online classes and not meeting anyone. So all in all, it has been extremely isolating for the past 2 years for everyone. Starting a new job, I've started a new job and I haven't really been able to go and meet the people who I work with. I know their voices, don't know what they look like very well. I've seen glimpses of their faces on Teams chats, but that's pretty much it. For people going to uni, they wouldn't have met any of their new peers. Who turns their cameras on in a lecture? I mean, come on. Unless you do, in which case, that's very brave. I never did that. And on that note, socially, it's been a very long time of not being able to reliably go out and see your friends. You may plan something, and one of my friends was planning for us to come over and see his place. And each time he planned it, we had a lockdown. Oh boy, and this is our 6th lockdown, so that interfered with his plans like 3 times or something, so oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah, so it's been really tough not being able to go and see friends, and honestly, I have not seen quite a few of my friends for months. I'm usually quite social and like going and seeing my friends whenever I can, and not being able to have that it's hard. Yeah, and it's been that way for a very long time. And also a lot of my friends don't necessarily live nearby, and so when the 5k limit was introduced, where we could only travel 5k from our home, we had a 5k radius, that ruled out so most of my friends, almost all of my friends. So, yay. That's just been the norm for pretty much everyone living in metropolitan Melbourne. It's like we just got used to it. We got used to sitting at home all day on a screen, not seeing people. At the start of the lockdowns last year, Zoom was quite a novelty and everyone was kind of going along with it, having fun, still seeing each other and engaging that way. Which, you know, it was fine for a little bit, but as things wore on, especially during last year's very long lockdown, people just stopped using Zoom. People stopped it because no one could really handle the screen time. And just talking to people through a screen, it just, when you're doing it for so long, you just hit a point where you just can't do it anymore. You just go, no, I'm sorry, I can't see you on a screen. I need to see you in person at this point. And it makes it very hard to stay connected with people that way. And, you know, if that was happening last year, you can imagine how things are going this year. No one's doing any Zoom calls this year. Or, let's see, how many have I done in this lockdown? I have a friend who lives interstate, so that doesn't really count. But in terms of my friends who live in Victoria or in Melbourne, I think I did 1 Zoom call with my family. Oh no, there were another 2 Zoom events that my partner's friends had set up. So 3 compared to several a week at the start of last year. That's a bit of a drop. Zoom fatigue is real, everyone. It hurts. If it wasn't so useful, I would have just gotten rid of it. Minty freshness. No, I'm sorry, Leaf. This should be my new identity plant, lady. Okay, no, there are a few more things. How have us Melbournians been spending our time and socialising with people? Well, kind of sad to say, but a lot of Melbournians have just been spending the past 2 years just working or studying or just doing nothing. It's so hard to do things in the lockdown. It's just, and not just going out and doing things, but in terms of, it's not even just motivation, it's just fatigue. And I'll get to that in a little bit, but just thought I'd mention it there. In terms of going and seeing people, well, we are able to go on walks. And so let me tell you, half of Melbourne is out there walking around. It's actually pretty cool because it has a lot of people not sitting at home necessarily, but then I suppose if people could go out and walk around, people would do that more often as it is. But going out on walks with friends or going out on picnics when they started opening up has become a really popular thing for everyone to do, which is lovely. And I swear, the dogs of Melbourne are having the time of their lives. They are getting so many walks and their parents are, owners are home all the time. The dogs are loving it. The dogs of Melbourne are the happiest dogs in the world, I would wager. Yeah, so many walks, so many picnics. That is the extent of what Melbourne is doing socially. We still get coffee. We walk to get coffee and then we walk back. Because you can't drive anywhere. Well, you can, but when the 5k radius was in, I think we're at 25k or something now. When the 5k radius was in, it was a bit, where are you going to drive 5k away? You know, it's a bit, you can't really go far, so you may as well just walk. To counter our constant sitting down in front of a screen, the Melbournians have been walking, but we could only walk for an hour a day. That's all we've been doing. People have been watching a lot of Netflix, people have been doing a lot of nothing, and people have been doing a lot of working and walking. And that's it. That's what it's been like for 9 months over the past 2 years. And I'm not exaggerating. It's literally, you ask people, so what have you got on for the weekend? And they say, oh, you know, nothing. I mean, what can you do? Or you ask someone who you haven't seen for a while and you say, hey, how's it going? What have you been up to? And they say, shrug. Nothing. You know, they don't say shrug, but maybe they do say shrug. I feel like sometimes it's appropriate to say shrug. And a lot of the time people will respond with, you know, what can I do? I've just been doing nothing. There's nothing to do. It's a bit disheartening. Moving on from what our lives have been like, which is extremely boring to say the least. How are the people of Melbourne feeling as a collective? Plant, I'm going to need, if there's a spider on you, I will scream for the high heavens. Okay, no. I'm going to need all your care, Plant. How the people of Melbourne have been feeling. So, gave you a bit of a taster when I said, okay, you go up to someone and you say, hi, how are you going? Or how have you been? What have you been up to? A lot of the time they'll say nothing. As in, like, they won't just stand there and just stare at you. They will literally say nothing, or nothing much. What is there to do? What are some of the other responses we commonly get? Okay, so if you go up to someone and say, hi, how are you? They say, I'm going to go through some of the most common responses I get, or just anyone in Melbourne gets. Okay, hi, how are you? How are you going? Yeah, as well as I can. That's a very common one. Okay, what's another one? So. Oh, this is another one. Hey, how are you going? I'm going. It's kind of upsetting that you don't hear a lot of people saying, I'm going well anymore. That's actually become not the most common thing to hear. A lot of the time people just, as soon as you ask them how they're going, it's immediate, just the weight of the lockdown weighs upon both of you in the conversation and you can both feel it. It's like, you ask people how they're going, not just out of common courtesy, but also because you are actually empathizing with the person and you understand what it's like. So you are asking them, hey, how are you going? I know it's hard. I hope you're okay. That's what it feels like when we ask, how are you going at the moment? Which is actually, it's nice. It builds a strong sense of community, but at the same time, it's also just really sad that a lot of people just aren't fine. And that's what you kind of realize. People aren't fine, but they're just coping. Even the people whose lives haven't really been impacted that much, so maybe people who are working from home. For example, I can work from home quite easily or extremely easily with my job. But it's not just a matter of how easy is it for you to adapt to COVID, because it's not just that anymore. It's at the start, for a few months, yes, but now it's a matter of just human interaction, and not having that is impacting absolutely everyone. Everyone. There's like no one in Melbourne's escaped yet, at least no one that I have seen. How are you going, Melbourne? We're going. That's all we've got to say to you, world. Another thing is, if you ask people what they've been up to, they'll say nothing. Or what can we do? What are you going to be doing on the weekend? Nothing. What can I do? Or same old, same thing I did last weekend. Asking people how their day is, they say like the day before and the day before that. Every day feels the same here. And that is, anyone in Melbourne would agree with this when I say that one of the most common phrases you hear in Melbourne is people calling it just like Groundhog Day. Every day feels the same, because there's nothing distinguishing one day from the next, because you're not going out with friends, or you're not going out somewhere in the city, you're not leaving your house. It's literally, you're in the same environment every single day and nothing happens in your house. I mean, unless a spider... I'm not even going to jinx that. But, you know, when you're leaving the house, events happen, right? You see people, you say hi to people, maybe you see someone get swooped by a magpie. That's actually very scary and it does hurt, so it's check that person's okay. But things happen, right? You see things. But when you're sitting at home all the day, nothing happens. The most interesting thing that may happen is your computer may stop working. And then you go, guess I can't do anything. I'll just sit here and contemplate life. And you know, reading does exist, and I have been reading more, so that's a good thing. And oh my gosh, I forgot just how much I loved reading. It's so much fun! But we're not here to talk about books. Actually, I did hear one person respond to me asking them, hey, so what are your plans for the weekend? It was a little bit sad. They said, oh, you know, I'd love to go and do this, but I can't. And it's especially hard for everyone who has had their second birthday in a row in lockdown. They can't see their friends, they can't see their family, they're just sitting there like every other day, every other one of the 267 days. It's hard on the people of Melbourne, and we're all... There's a collective weariness in everyone. Everyone. Anyone you spoke to, any person you'd go up and say hi to, even if it's someone you had never met before, you would immediately bond on that weariness. It's literally how it is. Great sense of community, but everyone is just sick of the lockdown. That's what's bonding us. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we'll just go with it, I suppose. That's what it's like interacting with the people of Melbourne, and that's also just how the people of Melbourne are just feeling on a collective whole. The best way that I can describe how everyone's feeling is just lockdown fatigue. Everyone in Melbourne has lockdown fatigue. Lockdown fatigue is... I'm sure there are people in other parts of the world who have felt this, but after being locked down for so long, it just amplifies to this ridiculous level, and it's just so intense. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating that. Maybe in other parts of the world people have felt that level of lockdown fatigue as well. I don't know. I can only say what I've noticed around where I am, and it does feel extreme compared to last year. It feels extreme. Lockdown fatigue, I'll just quickly go over what I mean by that. So, man, how do I explain lockdown fatigue? It's being tired. You're just perpetually tired and lacking energy and lethargic all the time. And whenever you want to try and do something, it's like, I forgot the name of that Greek guy pushing a boulder up a hill. If you remember what it is, please comment below so I can see it. I'm very upset that I've forgotten this, and this is going to eat away at my lockdown fatigued brain. It's just sort of feeling something mad. But it's like, yeah, pushing a massive truck up a hill to do, and it feels like that level of difficulty to do anything. And I mean anything. Like to get up and do a workout during the day, it can feel that hard. And a workout may not be the easiest thing for everyone, but for me that's something that I usually really enjoy doing, and it can feel like quite a challenge to get up and do. Or it can feel extremely difficult to do something as simple as just get up. Just get up. Get up off a couch, get up out of a chair, get up from your bed. It can be so challenging just to do that. Just to get up and go get a glass of water, just to clean the house, just to vacuum, and just to do something, some kind of activity. I think the thing is that it's such a strong and heavy mental load and burden on everyone in Melbourne because of this lockdown. I currently don't really understand why. I've been trying to understand why, and when I try and think about it, then I feel really tired, and I'm just like, I just don't want to do anything. I just want to sit here and just bleh. That's what it feels like in my evenings. I just sit there and I just kind of lie there and I'm like, nah. I'm just going to sit here for hours until it's bedtime, and I go to bed. I wish I was joking. Yeah, I guess that's the best way I can explain lockdown fatigue. It's at that level. At least it's at that level for me, and I know that a lot of other people are feeling it in that way. And it also, as well as making you feel tired, that also just makes you feel less happy than usual, and it can be really hard to maintain a positive mindset, it can be really hard to just show some enthusiasm during the day, and when you're just exhausted beyond belief and you don't even know what to do to try and give yourself some energy. The camera has shifted, I believe, because I had to fix it, and now my leg's broken, so that's fine. So I think I have explained lockdown fatigue well enough. I think you all get the picture. So that's what everyone in Melbourne pretty much is feeling. I think I can say that pretty confidently. Some people definitely more than others, but everyone to a bit of a degree, I reckon. It's especially hard on people living alone. Now, I am living alone. I've been holding this tea for comfort and hardly drinking it. Now it's warm. Yeah, I live alone. Hasn't made things easy. I don't want to talk about all of this stuff in this video particularly because I want to try and gauge a collective mindset of everyone in Melbourne. But for those living alone, it's the only way I can describe it is that it's isolating, and lockdown fatigue hits really hard. You spend a day where you're like, oh, I've been alone in my house all day. Haven't really interacted with people. Ha 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 ha. I look around and there is no one here apart from me. Yeah, moving on from that. I think I've explained how the people of Melbourne are feeling. We're all spent. And in terms of how we're feeling about the lockdown, everyone's sick of it. We're all ready to open up. We just want to live our lives again. We want to live our lives without worrying about being locked down again. It almost feels normal to expect to be locked down again, or it feels abnormal and almost taboo to think about going to a restaurant, or to think about going to a cafe, or to think about going to the shops, or to think about going anywhere that isn't your own home. I swear, it feels like that. Not necessarily something I'm happy about, but at least to me, and I know to quite a few other people who I've spoken with, they feel the same way. And you sit down and watch a movie and people are standing near each other or something without wearing masks, and we say, oh look, they're not wearing masks. Because we've been wearing them for the majority of however long, the past year. So It's like a weight is ready to be lifted off everyone's shoulders in Melbourne, and just not just Melbourne, but the world in general. But the people in Melbourne in particular, we're ready to move on from this. We're ready to open up and to start engaging with each other again and living outside of our homes again. I won't keep rambling on because we're getting to the point of the conversation where the Melbournian starts drifting off into just a little bit of despair. But we are opening up on Friday, and oh my gosh, we can have people over to our homes. Oh my gosh, I can see my family again. It's gonna be fantastic. I can see my friends. I can go out and actually see Melbourne again. As a concluding note, I'll add this. The people of Melbourne, I feel we all have come to really value the things that we took for granted before in our daily lives in a whole new way. Things like being able to go and see our families. That's something that a lot of us just kind of took for granted before, and now people have been saying, so happy that I can finally go and see my family. Even just being able to go out somewhere, people saying, I'm so happy I can finally leave my house and spend a day outside. So happy that I can go and sit outside on a lawn somewhere and not have to be exercising. Yeah, we couldn't actually go outside unless you were exercising. Going outside and sitting there and reading a book, couldn't do that. Recently we were able to go and have picnics outside, which is great still. The idea of going outside and just sitting on the lawn, or if you're traveling from somewhere, I would ride my bike into uni, and on my way back sometimes I'd just stop in kind of park area and just lie there in the sun. Even if it was a slightly chilly day, you just get to appreciate Australia's beautiful, man, and even close to the city, Melbourne has some really lovely bushland, so it was nice to be able to appreciate that, and that's something that I'm really going to see in a new light, along with just all the other things that I mentioned before. So kind of where I'm going to leave it. I haven't talked about what the easing of restrictions is going to entail. I might make a separate video reacting to that, because I've seen some of them, but I found a newspaper article that goes into it a bit more, so I might do a little reaction to that. Just be like, oh yes, we can do this, which is exciting. As I mentioned, I know that we can go out to places, and we can have people over to our homes. Oh, yes, but we have density limits and things, so we need to work around that. That is a snapshot as to what life is like in Melbourne. It's not the happiest snapshot in the world, but I tried to be realistic with it. To be honest, I was suffering from quite a bit of lockdown fatigue today. It was pretty bad. I tried to keep that out of this video, and I think I did okay. It's kind of like a perpetual mood at this point for everyone in Melbourne, so I think actually it was pretty accurate. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you found this very insightful as to what Melbourne has been like for everyone living here for the past 2 years, and I hope you found your view of the most locked down city in the world interesting. Maybe you learned something from this. Maybe you can compare it to the place where you're living right now. If you have anyone who's been living in Melbourne, maybe you could reach out. Leave a comment if you have anything else that you thought was interesting about what I said, or if there are any Melbournians watching, if you have anything to add that maybe I missed, or anyone else around the world. If you want to give us Melbournians just some support, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, that would be really, really lovely. That's it for now. I'll see you all next time in a happier video, hopefully. Let's have not killing plants, please. And we'll have fun in the next one. Alright, I will see you all later. Bye bye! I would also like to add that wherever you are in the world, I hope that things are going well for you COVID-wise and that you're okay. So, coming from Melbourne, we wish the rest of the world all the best. We hope you are all okay as well, because we understand what it can be like.